Hello. I realized that I realized that I start all of these videos with saying hello when I was looking, just scrolling through them. Uh, so it wasn't my intention. It was my conscious effort to create a thing. You know how everyone has like a thing. That was not my intention, but apparently that is what has happened. Um, so now I think this is only going to be like kind of a short one because I haven't read any new books. I'm pretty sure I've made a review of all of the books that I've read. I mean, I haven't made a review of like On the Road or Junkie. I mean, I've talked about them a lot in the other one and like referenced them and stuff. So I kind of, in a way, have, but not like a proper one because I read those last fall. So I I haven't made a review of them. But I just wanted to talk a bit about my feelings on the Beat Generation because although I haven't finished a book, I've read quite a lot of Carolyn Cassidy's Off the Road now. I'm on part 2, so I've read it like halfway through. So I think we're in like 1953 or something, and I think it's a very good book, a very good because it's Off the Road, My Years with Cassidy, Kerouac, and Ginsberg, written by Carolyn Cassidy, Neil's wife, or one of them. He's a bit silly, married to Luann, and also married to Diane, but he wasn't actually married to her because it was a bigamous marriage because he hadn't divorced Carolyn before he married Diane Hansen, or Diana, maybe it was. But yeah, I think that it would just be good to make like a short or a video right now because there's a lot of information and a bunch of stuff happening, and even though I should review the book when it's like I finished it. I might as well do this halfway because there's a lot of stuff happening now. It's part 2, so I guess a new part of their lives is starting. We stopped. There's still a lot of interesting stuff I know is going to happen to Neil's life. So maybe it's actually good that I make it now because you know how I tend to talk forever. So reviewing half of it first might be good. I think that after all, I really like how it's written. I think Carolyn is a very good writer. She writes so much simpler than Kerouac and Burroughs, which is like very nice. She's still obviously insanely clever, which all of the beats also notice. I think she writes beautifully, and I think but simply so I understand everything that's going on is put very clear. The only thing that's not very clear is the timeline. So that's actually kind of annoying because they're kind of the beats. They're all over the place. It's like, oh, we're going to Mexico, we're going to San Francisco, we're going to do this thing, and they always on the move. Always like, oh, now we're gonna work at the railroad for like 3 months, and then oh no, suddenly we're gonna go there, and it's like there's always new stuff happening, and it's very like back and forth all the time. Like, oh, now I'm gonna give you and Diana a 1-month trial period of being my wife and who I like the most, and it's just very all over the place and always so. And she doesn't mention the time a lot. I mean, I would like, especially when there's a new year, because it's more of like and then it was Neil's birthday, so it's like, okay, so it's February, and then it's like, oh, now it's Valentine's Day, now it's Christmas, and it's like, okay, so I can kind of get that. You said 2 months passed and it was Christmas, and now it's a new year, but I would have appreciated if it was more like it's 1953 now, it's this time, because it gets very confusing, which is why I kind of want to make my own timeline, because I want to, and I'm really thinking of making my own timeline, because there's so much stuff that I care about, and I mean, of course, I've googled like beat timeline, but then you get like, oh, when it was published, and then the problem you have to, when Carrick's book was published, and you have to see when Burroughs' books was published, and then there's all these major events, like you might, but then there's also these tinier things that I care about. That's like, okay, so I kind of just want to make create a timeline so I can see the bigger picture. So it's like, okay, so at this time, these events were happening with Alan and Burroughs, while Neil and Caroline was experiencing this, and like Jack was doing this. So I kind of want to, I don't know if I could, my friend said she had like a huge scroll of paper maybe I can get, and then I can just fill in like that kind of a crazy person. It just, do I have lipstick? Oh, I did. Yes, I did. Okay. I just found this lipstick. I got it for a birthday present for my stepma a couple years ago or something, and she got me a bunch of makeup, which I really liked. Anyway, now I don't really wear. Should I go off on tangents about makeup? Because I don't really wear that much makeup anymore. Actually, I didn't wear makeup at all for like a year because it was winter and I was lazy, and then spring came around and I was just like, well, now enough time has passed for me to like my face without makeup, because that's the thing though, like makeup skews your perception of your own face. So if you wear it, I've always done this. I've always, this is how I always like, because I started wearing makeup late, although it wasn't really late. I didn't wear any makeup at all in middle school, except I wore eyeliner in middle school, and then in high school, which is like start from the 11th grade here, I started wearing like full face kind of a bit sometimes, but never like, I was never that into it because it's difficult, and it just I look uglier with makeup because it just kind of, I don't know how to, even when I go and get my makeup done professionally for free and stuff, it still feels like makeup isn't hiding my flaws, maybe in pictures, but in real life it's more exaggerating it, and I can't get around that. So maybe I would have worn makeup if I'm actually had the kind of face that it suited better. But anyway, even in middle school, I would be like, okay, so I noticed that I don't want, if I'm like for example, I would always be late for school, and I would be like, oh no, I have to do my eyeliner, and the second I had that thought, the second I thought I have to apply eyeliner, I was like, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to wear eyeliner because I'm not going to be addicted to the way I look with eyeliner. I'm going to appreciate my natural face. So even though I never wear a lot of makeup, I was still like very careful of not getting too used to my face with makeup so that I would feel ugly without. I think that's very important. Because a lot of people are like that. A lot of people I see, a lot of my friends, especially middle school, where everyone's so insecure about themselves, but even as adults and older, and I feel kind of bad for kids these days, like Generation Z or whatever. Kind of dumb to divide people like that. But anyway, that's a whole other thing. This is supposed to be about the beats, but I don't have that much to say right now, so I mean I do. Anyway, to complete my thoughts on makeup is that I think it's very dangerous, because now people have started to catch on, but this has been my thoughts for a long time, that people are like, oh, but wearing makeup is actually feminist because we do it for ourselves. Boys don't like people, like, if we were to apply boys makeup for boys, then it would be way less, because as studies have shown, and also you notice, is that wearing like just a natural face of makeup is what's the most attractive. Usually, like, no makeup is like you look tired. A lot of makeup is like, wow, you're like overdone and kind of, what are you doing? But wearing just natural is the best. But a lot of people who wear a lot of makeup are like, oh, this is for me, this is not for to attract boys, so this is feminist. And using makeup is like art, and now I definitely do see a lot of people using it like art, like all of the insane makeup, which is just like a bunch of it, and all these creative kind of ways to apply, and it's so difficult too. One thing is like, I mean, I love painting, and it's basically painting your face, and I would say that makeup has actually did improve my painting or drawing in middle school, because when I learned contouring, it's like, oh, but this is basically how to draw a face. Like, oh, I now that I know that I have to contour like here and here, add like shadows here, and then I know like this is how to color a face. So I actually learned how to draw better, and also was kind of like an exchange. Like I also could apply makeup better because I had a steady hand from drawing so much. Like, you know how you the fine movements, you improve them when you draw, even though I'm kind of very sketchy, so people who draw very like this, like oh, what's the, you know, the Japanese thing, I can't remember, but you know what I'm talking about. They are very like able to do very precise fine moments and not like mess it up. But I think that that's really cool about makeup, but the problem is, you know, when still it's accepted by society more to wear a lot of makeup than like not wear, than you like in like job offers, like it's easier to get a job if you wear like a bit of makeup, and pretty privilege is the whole thing. And I just think that it's I think that it's important because I love the and also like part of the reason that I'm shitting on makeup so much. I mean, I'm not like, I don't hate makeup. As I said, I just listed a bunch of reasons why I think it's hella cool. But part of the reason why I dislike it is that I think it makes the face look boring a lot of the time, because everyone wants that same like kind of, or not same, but they you strive to be like a perfect complexion and everything, but like that is so boring. Like I literally complimented my friend the other day because she was like, oh yeah, I have a lot of zits and stuff, and I'm like, and I said, I know this sounds like a weird thing to say and rude, but like I honestly mean it as a compliment, and that is, I love your zits. I honestly think that my friend has a kind of zits on her face that's just adds character, and it's literally, I honestly, I find it pretty. I think it's looks really, really good, because she has all these interesting things. Like, I don't know, like I love how the human face isn't just like a brown, like, or like beige or whatever skin color you have. It's actually, we all have like redness and like green undertones, and I think that me painting and stuff has given me an eye for that. But of course, like how I always used to say how, oh, my skin turns green in winter, and I was like, what, you're not an alien, your skin doesn't turn green. But it does. I get a green undertone. I keep getting lipstick on my feet. Ugh. And I think it's so cool, and I love like, especially like when you have like zits here and here. My Dungeons and Dragons character has it, and I'm like, oh look, he's not a perfect Mary Sue self-insert thingy because he has zits, but actually I think that's just cute. And I just oh, this I talk about makeup for a long time, but yeah, I just really, really love how people have like bags under their eyes, like they have like some purple going on, they have like zits that are red, and it's just, I think that just how the face looks naturally. And skin is my favorite thing to paint. I love painting skin, and I hate, often when I do self-portraits, I would just add pimples to my face that aren't there, because if it's done right, it's just like gorgeous. I think it looks really cool. It's just detailed, and it's fun, and I don't think that I think there's a beauty in it that's just how people are like, oh, your stretch marks are like tiger marks and stuff, and it's like, it's true though. Like, it's cool to have like these lines on your body. Like, it's actually, I think, just, I love people, and I love how everyone looks, and it's just, people have such interesting faces. Like how there's different types of, there's some people that I love their faces. Like, they're not necessarily very, very ugly, they're not very beautiful, it's just they have a face that is fun or pleasing or just like interesting to look at, and like how attractive I think they are doesn't factor in at all, because it's not about that. They can be like some of the ugliest people I've seen, or the prettiest, or just average, no matter what is, or it doesn't matter. And I just think that some people have just these really interesting faces, and I think that we should appreciate that more. And that's kind of my personal vendetta against makeup, is that it removes all those fun things. Also, I'm kind of a pioneer too, because I started wearing like clown makeup, like when it was really trendy to put eyeliner like this. I wore that like a year before it was trendy. Also, I did the whole like Vaseline thing before it was trendy, and I also did the like red underneath your eyes. I still do that sometimes if I'm wearing like a lot of red, and kind of, because I literally use lipstick for everything. Like if I like blush and eyeshadow and of course lipstick, I just use lipstick. Sometimes even for my eyebrows, not anymore, because now it got more of a basic kind of look, as you can see. And yeah, so that's my makeup review. And back to Off the Road and the Beat Generation, which is what this was supposed to be about. It's written in a very beautiful way, and as I said, when I first started reading it last fall, I actually took a break, because I was like, this is too good, I have to save it, because at the time I just finished On the Road, I think, and Allen Ginsberg's biography, and I just fell in love with Neil. I just completely just fell in love with him. Neil Cassidy, I still think, is just the coolest of the Beats. He's just really, really nice, and he doesn't have all of these pedophilia thing that Burroughs and Allen is doing, and then Jack is. I mean, honestly, I cannot believe this, but I'm starting to like Jack. I mean, it took like reading 4 of his books and watching like documentaries about him and so many articles, but I'm kind of starting to get a feel for the guy. Is that the thing? Yeah, I think I'm kind of starting to think he's not so bad. I think I put my prejudices against his character before the man himself. So yeah, I actually kind of like Jack now. Jack Kerouac. I'm still gonna call him Jack Kerouac. And Neil I've always liked, and there was a time in this book that I was kind of like, do I like this guy? Because he was kind of treating Caroline like a jerk. So, so what happens in the first part of the book is, it started with her meeting Neil, because really that's where it all began. That's kind of how she got, because Caroline herself is like a basic ass background. She talks a lot about how she was raised very like typical American home, or I don't think they were Christian, but they were still very like their ethics were strong, and she was kind of, so a lot of the time she was rightfully shocked by the Beats' behavior, like how like Alan just gets naked at parties sometimes, and he's just like, well, and then also shocked about the homosexual parts of it, because she never met or heard much about gay people. I mean, it was the 40s, and she was just very shocked in general, all of the drugs, of course, so that was kind of difficult for her a lot of the time. But it starts out with her meeting Neil, and as I said before, I kind of fell in love with him, or I feel like she kind of, because she describes it her book it kind of reads, even though it's like a biography, and of course all of Jack's books are also like kind of biographies, but hers is more of a biography than a fictional book, but it still reads like a fictional book. In a lot of ways, because she just describes her feelings about everything in a very, very clear, but also kind of way that's like you would read in a book. So that allowed me to basically, even though he's long dead, Neil, kind of allowed me to fall in love with him through her. Is kind of what I felt like. No, none of the, oh man, she's so lucky she got to like hang out with Neil and fall in love with him and date him. Um, More of a, because that was definitely seems like a hassle in real life, but I love getting the opportunity through her book to fall in love with him. That's how I felt when I started reading the book, because she just talked about this dude that's just like walks in and he's just so cool, and he has like this aura about him, which is I definitely feel, and through everyone who's describing him, he was just this very interesting, special person, and just the way he talks and carries himself is also just very special, and he's so interesting. He's really, really interesting, and she just falls in love with him. But he's married when she meets him. He's married to Luann, and Luann is like 16, and I think Neil, when they met, were 20, and she's 23, because she's a bit older. She's like 3 years older than Neil, so she's like, damn, he's married to this young girl. And at first she also looked really young. Sometimes she's like, wow, she's super young. But Neil was involved with some crazy girls. That sounds like, oh, your ex is so crazy. I mean, he was crazy himself. In a way, that's kind of how I feel about Luann and Carolyn's relationship, is how, or like versus, it's like Luann fits his crazy side, and while Carolyn stimulates his mind, and like they're better for each other in a sense of like living together as a family and stuff, while Luann is more of like a, like one time when I think they were at Burroughs' house, he just comes in the car and starts beating her, and Karen's like, oh my god, and like, are you okay? And Luann's just like, oh, it's fine, I like it. So that's kind of what I mean when I say that they fit each other in a crazy way. And there's just so much stuff that's happening in this book, and you really just gotta read it, unless this is a video for myself. I don't know. Because if it's for myself, then you've read it, but if I end up posting this video somewhere, then a stranger might see it, and you should read it, because it's written really good, and it also has like kind of a lot of letters, and now I'm starting to really want to read the letters they exchange, because of course they're all writers, so their letters are written really good, and especially in Neil's case, who never actually finished a book, I think it would be fun to read his letters, and I think that I also have a new perspective, because you know how I was talking about how I want to further investigate the Beat Generation's views on women, because you know, with Neil all being like, oh yeah, I'm like have this wife that's Luann, and they keep getting like divorced and married again, and then he gives Carolyn a baby, and then he leaves her, and like she's all alone, being like pregnant or being like with a newborn, and she's just like, I have this baby, and now I have 2, now I have 3, and where's Neil? And then he knocks up another girl and she's like, seems very batshit, and she's just like, oh, I have now she's all alone with the baby, the son that Neil gave her, and she's just all alone, and I think she was living like New York. Anyway, they're all over the place, in Denver, New York, San Francisco, so always on the move, and Neil, of course, has a very, he always needs to be on the road, born on the road. That's his mother and were like pregnant with his dad, and when they were on the road, I think they gave birth like on the road. So he was born on the road, and he died on the road or the railroad track. So not really, kind of. He was walking. Of course, he didn't die in a car accident, even though his driving is insane, because he's just an amazing driver. He literally, like, one time he drove like super fast to, the distance doesn't really tell me that much, but I'm it seems it's kind of crazy. I think it was really really fast. He drove from like, where did he drive from? It doesn't really matter. Basically, he was driving in the snow and he just slid like right down like super duper duper fast, and maybe from to Denver or New York from San Francisco. I don't know. He was driving down, and it was just and at one point like his wind, it was snowing super hard, and he like through some trucks, and then also like his wind wipers or whatever they're called like broke, and he stuck his head out, and like were driving with like his head out, and like he couldn't hear properly on the left side of his ear, or what, right side, I don't know, because he was like driving in the snow. It's just insane, but he's a really really good driver. I think I should finish this because this vlog is really really long. What time is it? Oh shit, I gotta go. Okay. Well, I have plans today, so I'm gonna leave. But yeah, that was kind of makeup, and I'm gonna do a proper review of Carolyn Cassidy. I'm also gonna talk about how, like, analyze Neil psychologically, because finally in the last pages I read, the last pages of part 1, finally they mentioned that he's cuckoo, and I've done some observations, but I'm gonna delve into that later. Bye bye.